You have found the Roaring Peacock Youth Podcast, episode 11, video on YouTube. We are here today to talk about Elia Caprile, to do his player profile. We're going to also talk about some news and bits and bobs that's happening around the world of Leeds under-23s. We're going to chat about the Newcastle hard-fought 2-1 victory and look ahead to one of the final games of the season against West Brom next week. If you want to leave comments on anything about the Leeds youth team, the under-23s, even the under-18s, they've got a game coming up this week, a big game. Leave the comments below. Hit that subscribe button. It's on your screen somewhere. On with the video.
The following podcast contains some strong language and some very average opinions.
Any references to actual people are wildly inaccurate. It's probably best if you don't listen at all. The Roaring Peacock Podcast.
Welcome back to the Roaring Peacock Youth Podcast, episode number 11. I'm your host, Ross. With me, as ever, is Rob.
Hello.
And Matty.
Hello, everybody.
How are we, boys? Good? Had a good week?
Yes, very good, thank you.
Good. Right, we're going to introduce a new segment this week. We're going to be having a little news roundup of stuff that's happened this week. We're also going to get into the really good, enjoyable game that was the Leeds 2-1 victory against Newcastle. And we're going to preview the upcoming game against West Brom before we get into our player profile of Elia Caprile this week, who had a storming game. So another great player to profile after they've had a great week, or before they've had a great week. I think we're kind of influencing the under-23s boys, aren't we?
You say enjoyable for that Newcastle game, probably the most stressful game of the season. we used to just running away with games and being able to chill out a little bit for the last 10 minutes, but it was like watching the first team. I was so stressed in that last 10 minutes.
It felt like a football first team game.
It really did.
But yeah, let's start with some news first. We don't really do this normally, but Rob, you found some bits and pieces this week. Busy week.
Yeah, there's loads of little things happening in and around the youth squads. I think in general, depending on when people are listening to this or watching this, if you're watching us on YouTube, this could be new news or old news because it's just kind of hit us today that we've seen that unfortunately Max Dean seems to have picked up what looks to be an ominous looking injury. I hope it's not too serious, but looking at the lad's Instagram with no official comment from the club or anything yet, he's wearing what looks like a protective boot on his right foot. And obviously there's some crutches in the picture as well, which seems to indicate that is not going to be a short-term injury. So all the best to him, speedy recovery. Yeah. But I don't know, he's in a rich vein of form for the 23s when he's been stepping up. The 18s are back. We're going to be talking about later in the cup actions this week. So it's a shame that he's got himself an injury. I'm assuming a training injury, but he's back with the 18s this week, isn't he, for the youth cup games? Now Greenwood and Gelhardt are kind of off the bench from the first 11. He seems to have dropped down to 18s again. And yeah, it's an ominous looking injury. Wish him a speedy recovery, but that's kind of crept in. So sorry to start the recording on a downer, everyone that's listening. On to more positive things. I did also see that we've taken a young lad on trial from Hibs from over the border in Scotland. He's recently signed a professional contract with Hibs, but he's trialling with us for a look to a professional move to us in the summer, potential move on a professional contract to us in the summer, should I say. Ethan Laidlaw, a 16-year-old forward, another striker. Seems like we're just made up of centre-backs and strikers these days. But I'm sure, knowing Jacko and Bielsa, he probably plays left-back as well, or goalkeeper, I don't know, some versatility in there. And he's on trial, so it'd be interesting to see if anything comes of that over the coming weeks. Matty, do you know anything about him?
Yeah, I've not heard much of him, and obviously not seen much of him. Although I do take avid interest in a lot of youth team games. It's not just Leeds that I watch. I can't say I've watched many Hibs under-18s games. I'm not your man, unfortunately. We'll see what happens with the trial, and hopefully he links up with the under-18s, and we've got another Joe Gallagher or Sam Greenwood on our hands. But yeah, I've not seen anything of him up until now.
Oh well, yeah. Hopefully it works out. We'll hear some news. If anyone knows anything, put something in the comments. Let us know. Yeah, I think also as well, just probably worth mentioning a couple of international call-ups for the 23s, or to the international 21s, but from our 23s. So obviously Melier from the first team, because of his age, it's worthwhile mentioning. But actually, in terms of players that we've been profiling and looking at, Huggins has made it to the international scene, hasn't he, again?
it's promising, really promising for the future. Get these boys mixing in with the first team international players like Gareth Bale, as Huggins is now a striker, if you believe the fancy Premier League, which we'll come on to in a second.
It is interesting to see where Huggins might play for Wales, because I'm not sure when he last played, but he's since changed to a left wing back, a left back. He's played as a number 8, so I'm not sure what Wales' squad is looking like, where they need players, but probably good to have someone like Huggins in the team who can fit in anywhere. And like you say, if he can start mixing in with that first team, players like Gareth Bale, Aaron Ramsey, and players like that, obviously it's nothing but a good thing, and another good experience for him, mixing it with the first team at Leeds and then mixing it with fully world-class players like Gareth Bale can only be a good thing for Huggins and for Leeds as well.
Yeah, he's playing left back for the under-23s, Rob. Fantasy Premier League have him marked down as slightly different to that, don't they?
Yeah, apparently he's a striker, which I think our fearless leader Donny noticed, that now Huggins is listed as a £4.5 million striker on Fantasy Premier League, if anyone fancies signing him. Selected by 0.1% of the global fantasy population. So at least there's some people that fancy him starting as a number 9 now. Patrick Bamford might be a little bit cropped for him.
It's him and his family, isn't it?
I was just going to say it's him and his brother and his sister or something.
Yeah, that's probably it. But yeah, an odd choice, but good to see more Leeds players in there, especially youth ones. Any more news for any more, Rob?
The only thing to mention and necessarily promote, if there are any people who are listening or have got subscriptions to The Athletic who listen to us, then there was a very interesting piece which was done around Robbie Gotts on The Athletic. It was a very interesting article, actually, and well worth the read by Phil Hay. And it talks about the kind of strapline is eating less, running more, Bielsa's stats and blisters versus Arsenal. And it was a good little article there by Phil Hay and the team over at The Athletic around Robbie Gotts. So I enjoyed reading it.
Yeah.
Inspired by me, was he, Phil? Was Phil inspired by me with that one?
I can say, if you want to see Robbie Gotts' interview, check out Matty's YouTube channel. Let's get on with the games then, boys. We played Newcastle yesterday, in fact. And I mean, for me, it was a proper game of football. Some of these under 23 games this season have been too easy. They've been a walk in the park and have not been as enjoyable. This one was a proper game of football, and I really enjoyed this. We came out 2-1 winners in the end, thanks to a penalty from Joe Gelhardt and Charlie Creswell with a Gelhardt assist. So Gelhardt had a good game. Christian Atsu scored for Newcastle, but he's an international footballer whose teams have paid massive amounts of transfer fees for in the past. So slightly unfair levels, but we still won. Yeah,
a good win. Had to grind it out in the end. Not a pretty one, but a good win nonetheless. Newcastle had some good players. Elliot Anderson, who I think anyone who watched the reverse fixture would have known was going to be their key man. They had first teams in, like you say, Atsu scored the goal, and Henry Saive, who I believe Saive, multi-million-pound midfielder at one point.
Yep, definitely.
So yeah, they need the. Atsu had a few good touches, but I honestly did not notice Saive in the game at all. Anderson's a good player. Had a good battle with Koch in the first half, who I'm sure you both agree it looked very, very sound in midfield. And
yeah,
now I think I'd have a bit more faith in him stepping into midfield for Phillips. I was aware it was a position he could play. I think he's played it there for Freiburg, and I'm pretty sure I've seen him play it for Germany once or twice. But I can't say I remembered how he was there or how he went about his business in there. But he looked comfortable. He made good movements, even ventured forward, which is pretty rare when midfielders step into holding midfield role. When defenders step into holding midfield, they just sit in front of the back four and try and keep things simple. Koch was making runs forward. I was really impressed with him. But yeah, Newcastle were a very good side, and obviously it's good to test ourselves against these teams. It's no good just playing and beating teams 4-0 every week and having it easy. Obviously, we've had a few good tests over recent weeks. The loss at Palace and then the Reading game, even though I think we ended up 3-0 winners, they were a good side. But Newcastle, one of the best teams we've played this season, definitely.
It's strange that they're bottom of the table.
Yeah.
They looked much better
than
some of the things we've
understand.
played.
I cannot understand why they are. They're bottom. Maybe it's just a case of stepping up to play Leeds, who knows? But I thought they were a very good team, and that makes it a very good win for us. Maybe lucky. I think probably fair to say they deserved a draw, I think, to be honest. Although Caprile made 2 or 3 very good saves, there were also quite bad misses. Anderson should have scored twice, at least
Was
twice.
Anderson the albino-looking lad running around?
Number
in
10,
midfield?
Anderson was.
I can't remember if that was him. Was one of them had like just pure white hair?
Yeah, I think that was number 6 or number 8. Anderson was the number
right.
10. Should have scored twice. Had really bad misses. But good saves equally from Caprile, and maybe we got away with it. But a 2-1 win, and we'll go on to West Brom.
Yeah, you mentioned Koch there in midfield. It's promising if Calvin does get injured or God forbid leaves, you have the 4 centre backs basically. But if Koch's playing defensive midfield and Llorente can play there as well, they're just going to interchange throughout the game, and one can push on, one can drop in. It's promising that these we've got a lot of players that can play these sort of positions now.
Yeah, I think the good thing about the Koch situation, excuse the pun, is that with obviously it looks like Coops is going to be missing. I think the Scotland manager came out, didn't he, and said today he had a chat with him, and it looks as though he would have potentially made the 3rd international, but he's not been called up because he doesn't want to break that training camp to let him just play the last game. So it was agreed he'll miss all 3. So he's going to miss the Fulham game for us, and then he's going to have the international break. So if Cooper's illness goes on beyond that point, you've got to think, obviously, it's Llorente and Struijk in centre-back, but having Koch been able to play both CDM and CB means that he can cover Calvin. And like you mentioned, he could cover Llorente or Struijk if one of them gets injured or takes a booking and Bielsa feels like he's got to make that switch. Then I do think the Robin Koch situation is good at the minute. He's coming back from injury. He looked confident in the game. He's smart play. He's ball through for Gelhardt when the penalty for the Stonewaller. I thought was a really clever ball. And like Matty said, he looked comfortable stepping forward. I think when we signed him, there was a clip going around which showed that he demonstrated it. Someone had got a clip off the international scene where he'd pinged a ball in for Germany and it went over. It wasn't a through ball as such. It was kind of an over-the-top ball. But again, he's got passing range. So, of course, he's not going to be taking the CDM role off Calvin anytime. But it's good to know that he can step in where we've been missing that. If Calvin's out of the squad, we've looked.
He just looks solid, doesn't he?
Yeah.
There's something about Llorente. There's a bit of madness about Llorente. You're not quite sure what he's going to do. Whereas Koch just looks like a proper German centre back.
German efficiency, isn't
what he's going to do? Yeah.
All business, get the job done. But no, the game was good. I agree with Matty. I think it was enjoyable to see someone try and make us honest. Try and make us look like we need to perform to win it, which is nice to see. Not that we've had it all our way recently with the Palace result, but game management, we speak about it week in, week out. The game management in the last 10 minutes was outstanding. I think Shackleton brought a sensibility about that, a real solid approach to just managing that game IQ, and it helps the young lads around him. Greenwood and Gelhardt's running in the first 10 minutes was just out of this world. That was world class. If you want to show young lads how to play 9 and 10 or a kind of forward midfield role in 9, then the first 10 minutes of that game showed off the ball running and an intelligence level for their age, which is wonderful. Cresswell, what can we say? He got his highlight reel turn as well as his goal as well. So yeah, I mean, having said that, Newcastle battled. Give them some credit. They had a fluid play to get the goal back. I agree with Matty. I think Anderson missed a couple of chances that really, looking back, he should have put away, and that would have made things even more interesting. The only thing I will say, and it's not to question tactically why we made that decision, but I don't think the switch to a back 3 for the last 20 minutes suited us. I don't know why. We praised versatility in the past, but I think we needed to nullify Newcastle. They were on the ascendancy, and we needed potentially to keep shape because it was working. But for whatever reason, we switched that back 3 for the last 30 minutes-ish. And I think Ben Parker mentioned it on the commentary, but I do agree. I think that stifled our attacking threat. We looked defensively solid, but we lost some creativity going forward. Shackleton had to take it by the scruff of the neck and see it out for us. So, yeah, good game.
What did you think to Ben Parker on Co-Coms?
He's been away for a while, which I found unusual. But yeah, I mean,
COVID,
nice to see him.
He was away because of COVID restrictions, they couldn't be in the same studio recording. So I think they found a way of getting around that now. But I think for Tom's sake, having Ben on there is good because I mean, I really don't envy the job Tom has to do, and he makes it seem so easy to commentate on a game by himself. there's never any sort of awkward silences or anything that he gets wrong. He gets it spot on. Obviously, a good friend of the podcast, we seem to mention Tom Hill every week. Bit of a Roaring Peacock celebrity, but for Tom's sake, I'm glad to see Ben on there because it makes his job a little bit easier and a bit of a different outlook on things as well. So good to see them getting back to full coverage.
Speaking of the production, obviously, again, we spoke about that most weeks as well for the game. Did you notice, or maybe it was just me, there seemed to be more fans or people connected with the club on the far side railings this week than there has been in previous games?
Yesterday. Because there was a man looks suspiciously like him, just sat on his own, just to one side of the dugouts.
Probably he's been there many times before, hasn't he? He went to was it Kettering? The away stadium. Kidderminster, that was it. Sorry, Kidderminster, yeah. But yeah, there just seemed to be a lot more people about yesterday at Thorpe Arch or around the ground. It seemed to be busy. I mean, I can't wait till we can get crowds down and these boys are going to see especially the ones that are new signings, are going to see what a real loyal fan base is at Leeds before they even put a first team shirt on, some of them. But it seemed a bit busier, so let's hope things are pointing back to good signs. If there's more people allowed round and we've got co-commentators back and things like that, then hopefully if we keep driving the infection rate down in the communities, we'll see people back at Thorpe Arch watching the game soon enough.
Yeah, especially before the season ends. All in all, then, that leaves us still top of the table. We've played 21, 15, drawn just the one game, just like the first team, and only lost 4. 46 points. We are 13 points ahead of Stoke, who do have 2 games in hand. We've only got 4 games left, so that is 12 points. We just need, 1 or 2 more wins? And that's it. It's wrapped up.
2 wins from the last 4, and that's providing Stoke win. They have 2 games in hand, I think. So they have 6 to go. We have 4 to go. 13-point gap. So if Stoke win every single game, we need to win 2 out of our last 4. Whether Stoke can win all 6, I don't know. But that'll be a tough one for them. But 2 wins to go.
Brilliant. So close. It's almost there. We're almost there. Let's get into our player profile this week then, mate. We did you put the tweet out yesterday. The 4 players involved, and one of them won by quite a landslide again this week.
Yeah, it always seems to be a landslide winner. Elia Caprile with 42%. Jenkins missed out again, 27%. Ollie Casey missed out again, and Liam McCarron missed out again. Yeah, so this has kind of been a bit of a repeating.
We should just make it a 3-person poll next week with those 3 guys, isn't it?
yeah. So we get one of them done. But Caprile, I think, won the vote purely because he was so good against Newcastle. I think definitely his best game in the Leeds shirt. He's been improving a lot actually recently. We've mentioned this for the last couple of weeks. I just think his distribution has been getting better and his decision making. Never questioned his ability to actually be able to, ping passes to the fullbacks or clip them into midfield, etc. But just sometimes he did it and it wasn't on. I remember there was a goal he gave away early in the season. He kicked it short from a goal kick and ended up giving Sunderland a penalty when they got a goal back. And just a couple of bad passes in recent weeks. But then the last couple of weeks, especially, I think the Wolves game and today, I think he's been excellent. Yesterday he's been excellent. Only 19. We signed him from Chievo Verona, the second division Italian team. He's 6'3", which I think he looks small. I always thought he doesn't look 6'3" in the goal. He looks quite small. I'm not sure if that's because he's next to. I don't know if it's the angles of the camera. I don't know if it's because Casey and Cresswell in front of him, and they're both quite big lads, so they make him look a bit small. I'm not sure. But 6'3", which is obviously a good height for a keeper. He's contracted until 2023, and he has 1 cap for Italy under 18s, and that was in February 2019. And then for Leeds this season, he's been on the bench a lot of times, and I feel like that's why another reason people want us to talk about him. If Melier gets injured, it's pretty realistic Caprile could play with. No one seems to really know the Casilla situation, but the bench changes every week. Sometimes it's Caprile, sometimes it's Casilla. So obviously it's important that people find out a little bit about Caprile. And it's 15 games, 4 clean sheets in the PL2 this season, which doesn't sound great, but for a team top of the league, obviously we have got one of the best defences in the league still. I don't know if the change in the rotation affects the clean sheets. I don't know if the centre back pairing being inconsistent affects the clean sheets. I'm not too sure, but it is just quite a high scoring division, isn't it? So
Yeah, there's not
to
many clean
expect
sheets.
to expect 10 clean sheets or something like that would be a bit unrealistic. So yeah, the 4 clean sheets, but more so than anything, we've just got to talk about his improvement recently. He dropped one catch yesterday where there was one sort of like nervy moment from a cross, but other than that, he was completely spot on. Nothing he could do about the goal. It was a goal from close range. But yeah, the 3 saves from Anderson in particular were just excellent, and without him yesterday, they wouldn't have won. They wouldn't have won the game. So
No, definitely not.
obviously a big performance from him yesterday, and whether he has the credentials to fill in for Melee, I'm not too sure. I'm not sure how he would get on if that came about. Maybe seems probably want a bit more confidence. I think for a keeper that's quite a big deal. With Melee didn't come into the side and smash it straight away. I know he had a lot of clean sheets, but he also had a lot of those nervy moments. So yeah, for him, I think it's just about confidence and keeping learning, and obviously a run of games in the 23s rather than Kiko coming in seems to have really helped, because there was that spell where Kiko was playing some weeks and then Caprile would get dropped, but I'm not sure how many games he's played in a row now, but it seems like 3 or 4. So yeah, hopefully that continuity helps him and he can see out the season with a few more clean sheets and a few strong performances, and then, well, hopefully we don't have to rely on him for the first team, but if we do, I'm sure if his confidence builds, he'll do a good job just like Melier did.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a pretty good history of just throwing these young keepers in and doing
it
all right.
worked for Melier,
Melier. Yeah, exactly.
It worked for Melier, so hopefully it'll work for Caprile. Maybe that's what it needs, just something to happen to Melier. He gets thrown in and turns into a brilliant keeper, but if not, I think just keep him in the 23s. Like I said, he's only 19, so no rush. And for a keeper, you just need to build them up. No keeper really takes the world by storm at 19 years of age. So we talk about giving these lads 2 or 3 years. Caprile could realistically have 5 or 6 years before he finds his peak. So yeah, we'll see. But he's been promising recently, and a lot of improvement recently from him.
Yeah, I always like to look at these young players and their agency. He's represented by Promo Esports, which is a bit of a weird agency to be represented by. But on their books, they've got players like Adama Traore, Eric Bailly, and also a certain Mr. Caleb Ekuban as well. So maybe he talked him into joining Leeds. I don't know, but not many more massive players on their books than that, which is, I don't know, it provides me with a little bit of comfort that he's not going to just get sold on to another club just to make money off of him. They all seem, the players that are there have been at their clubs for quite a while, so that's something I quite like to see, I suppose.
But get a word in with Adama and get him down to Holland Road.
Yeah.
See, I don't think we need another winger right now.
No, we probably don't. But it's a
constant, that's a conversation for a different time. It is. He's been linked with us loads. Yeah. I think we've got him on contract to 2023. Caprile, he's there with us to 23. So I must admit I wasn't raving about the chap before the last few games. I think, like Matty said, there's definitely been a marked improvement. You don't really normally, or I don't at least anyway, sorry for those that do take goalkeeper analysis very seriously, but I don't particularly look at goalkeeping shot stopping stats and aerial catches and things like that when we're recording these pods or when I do research. It's just natural to look at the outfield 10, isn't it? And you judge the keeper's performance on, did he come and collect his crosses? Has he commanded the area? Has he let in goals? How many have he shipped? And is that the defensive frailty, or is that just poor keeping? And then and did he stay on the pitch? Did he slide in and do some reckless to get a red card and give away a penalty? And if he does all those things fairly well, you think the keeper's had an all right game. So for me, he's gone under the radar, I think, because we've got such a good outfield 10 that's been quite interchanged, so attentions have been focused. He's quietly gone about his business, which I like. He's not trying to make something of himself, and it was really nice to see on the social media accounts of the young lads yesterday, quite a few of them praise him. I think it was Cody Drama who'd said, look, I didn't have a particularly good game, I was all right, but look at this guy, look at the shots he made, he kept us in the game kind of thing, in not so many words. But, I think he's definitely probably got room to grow. I agree with Matty. Apart from the young lad at Milan, who's now played more games than most senior goalkeepers do in their life, there's not many goalkeepers that come in and do that. It's very, very rare. So we probably won't see him regularly as long as we've got Meslier in the first in the number one role in the primary keeping position. But I think when the Kiko situation resolves itself in whatever format it does, I'd expect him to be our secondary. I think he's good enough. I think he's got that about him. Just needs to keep developing. And I liked what I saw yesterday. Really good shot stopping. Yeah.
Confident. I used to be a goalkeeper. I'm 6'7". I kind of watched him a little bit more than other players, but he looks, especially these last few weeks, he's played the last 4 games since the night he missed the Reading game, but he's been in goal since then, and he is looking more and more confident. And it's his distribution as well. A lot earlier in the season, a lot of people were getting on his back for his wayward distribution, and it happens to all keepers. Meslier as well had it earlier in the year. But just getting more confident and knowing where your players are going to be, like pinging those balls out to Huggins and Drame on the kind of in the wing back positions. That's what our keepers need to be able to do, and he's getting very good at it. And I suppose he is probably second choice because Kiko has seemed to have thrown his toys out of the pram, if you believe all the social media stuff about him that's been going on. But I mean, honestly, I don't want to see him anywhere near the club ever again. So Caprile's fine for me to sit on the bench, and hopefully nothing happens to him because he's a very, very good keeper. But yeah, I wouldn't be distraught if Caprile had to play. It wouldn't be a travesty, an automatic defeat, I think.
No, I can see us keeping, hopefully keeping Meslier and he be our number one for many, many, many years to come in whatever variations. I think if, unfortunately, it's quite sad, but long after Bielsa goes, which is blasphemy to say, and a few of the first teams that we talk about will probably move on, I think hopefully he'll still be there. Once you get a keeper like that, who can only go, up in terms of ability and quality and maturity and game management, IQ and so on, all the attributes that we talk about, it's good. And I think for someone like Caprile, I don't know him, I'm just assuming if you are a person who's got to go through that psychologically and think, I might not get a run in the first team here, you probably got career decisions to make. So he's under contract with us till 23. He's definitely going to want to be the understudy. He want to solidify that second place when the Kiko situation is resolved. And I assume, because he is that slight bit younger in terms of he's 19, I think, still, isn't he? So he's got time. Develop. He's going to get games in the PL2 Division 1, hopefully next year. He will also, get the chance to mix it with the first team and potentially start in the League Cup or the FA Cup. And I know we notoriously don't have good runs in those cups, but
get a game or two.
You get one game each cup when we get knocked out. But it is. And I think, for him, I don't know him. I don't know what's going through his mind. He looks like a chap that's enjoying his football. He's going about it under the radar, just getting on with his business. And his performances have improved, which is good to see.
Yeah, I think he's got to take confidence from Meslier's situation. Meslier was the under-23 keeper, first team keeper now. It took obviously Kiko's ban for Meslier to get a game. Hopefully Meslier doesn't do anything Kiko-esque to give Caprile a game, but if anything does happen, an injury or a suspension, Caprile's got to take confidence from the fact that Meslier could do it. Meslier stepped up, and so he can do it. So the way he goes about him, you don't see him a lot on social media. He seems like a quiet guy. That strikes me as someone who's focused and got a good head on his shoulders. So obviously we don't know him, just speculating, but I think he seems like a quiet guy, focused, which is what you want your keeper to be, obviously. So, obviously wish him well, and hopefully he can solidify that backup spot.
Young professional going about his business, isn't he? Young professional man chap. At least it looks that way.
That sums up Leeds as a whole right now. A lot of our players are just these guys.
Young and professional doing their thing.
Yeah,
and enjoying their football. They look like. I know the Newcastle game was heart in mouth for us who watch the 23s more than, maybe some casual fans do, or people who are not into the youth setup and only focus on first 11. But actually, even though it was a hard-fought game, I think because Newcastle made us honest with it looked like some of them were relishing that. I think Shackleton especially. Shackleton looked like he really enjoyed coming in and supporting that cast of younger players, because he himself is kind of at the older end of that young spectrum, but he's still young. And he came in and sort of said, look, this is what experience I've brought from being around the first 11. I know some of you have been up there, but let's see it out. Let's see the result out. And really, really, really pleasing. Quite a lot of them had smiles on their faces and a few little fist pumps when the full-time whistle went, which is nice to see. They don't just think it's home and hosed. They've got a job to do, and they're all focused on getting to Division 1. Yeah,
I'm sure Jacko's doing a cracking job of keeping them more grounded. Like, you don't celebrate this until it's confirmed, and just keep doing what you're doing. So there we go. We'll see more of Caprile hopefully in action against West Brom this Monday at 2:00. Look at that for a segue, boys. Where are West Brom in the table? How are they doing? They are second bottom, just above Newcastle.
As we've seen, it means nothing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And West
this
Brom
league is mental.
West Brom, was it 3-2? 3-2, I believe they were beating us, and we came from behind in that win. 2-1 it was.
2-1, yeah.
Yeah, they were 1-0 up after 10 minutes, and then Roberts and Costa scored late. In the last 5 minutes, 2 goals in the last 5 minutes. Yep. So, West Brom will be another tough challenge. It's away, obviously, so I don't have the luxury of a beautiful pitch at Thorpe Arch, but see what. I'm sure West Brom should be in good condition, but obviously it's always more difficult going away. Hopefully we can do the business, but like I say, West Brom will be another tough game, and hopefully another win towards the title.
How good was that to see a Leeds team playing at home on a nice football pitch?
Yeah, I was just about to say, the first 11 don't have the luxury of a nice pitch, so at least the 23s have got Thorpe Arch, which looks a damn sight better than Ellen.
No wonder they all enjoy dropping down so much. Yeah. Rodrigo and Koch have been excellent and look like they really enjoyed it when they've dropped down recently. It's because of the pitch. I never thought of that.
You can actually play football on it.
Yeah, they don't come away from it feel like they've been in the Battle of the Somme.
Predictions then, boys. I'm going to go for another win. I think none of us got it spot on last week because Newcastle did score a goal. I'm going to just go for a comfortable 2-0 this week, I think. Just no worries, an early goal and then one kind of midway through the second half. Matty, what do you reckon?
I'm going to go for a 2-0 as well.
Oh, look at that. Rob, make it the full house?
No, I'm going for a KG 1-1 draw.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
Some pressure on these final
It's the first time I've really felt like, I think, just with everything that's going on, potentially there'll be that. There's always that kind of part to the story, isn't there? The stumble. Is it going to? Can Stoke get us?
Coming out.
I think a KG 1-1 draw, and then we'll see the business out in the next 2.
All right, fair enough. As long as we don't suddenly collapse.
No. Not predicting any collapses.
Sounds like you are. Rob, have you got faith or not?
No, I am not predicting collapses.
Have you got faith in Jacko or not?
I have pure faith. 100%
get Eddie and play the younger kids. No, doing a great job, Jacko, and so are all the boys. And yeah, if we do collapse, and get in the comments on YouTube and blame Rob. You can do that. Join us on YouTube at the Roaring Peacock. You can find us on Twitter at Peacocks Raw. You can find me at Twitter at Rosbo1984. Where can they find you, Rob?
No, they can't because I've predicted the collapse. So just ignore me. I'm a myth.
Fair enough. Matty, where can they find you?
At Matty_Ingham17, and then for reaction to Academy games, a few extra bits here and there at LUFC Academy News on Twitter as well.
Nice. I think someone's asked you to write up a piece on Caprile, haven't they? For your
Caprile, yeah. I'll have to get round to that. I've got one Creswell one up on the site, and that's the only one I've managed to get done so far. So I'll try to look a bit more in depth at Caprile, and then you can check the Creswell one out as well. So a few listeners asking us to do a video on Creswell, so if you still wanted to see that, you can find it on the playlist of the youth pods on the Roaring Peacock YouTube. And then if you want to find even more about Charlie Creswell, then there is an article on my website as well, so you can find more about him there.
Look at that, we've got you covered from every angle. And yeah, if you want us to talk about a player that we don't put in the polls, or just check the YouTube first, make sure we haven't already talked about them, because you could be missing yourself out on a good 15 minutes worth of chat about all your favourite players for the kids. But there we go. Until we are back, probably this time next week, with another victory, or maybe a draw, if you're a pessimist like Rob. It's goodbye from me. It's goodbye from Matt.
Bye. Thank you for having me.
And it's goodbye from Rob.
Bye-bye.
And we'll see you next week.
Most of our stats come from LUFC Stats or LUFC Data on Twitter. A very special thanks to Barney Stewart, Cook, Ewan and Howard Metcalf, Josh Pearson, Laura, Leon and Rob, The Light Show, and all our family and friends.
So many games to play, don't care.